Darkcast Network. Out of the shadows come the best indie podcasts.
Welcome to Brew Crime, a true crime and beer podcast.
This is a podcast where we pick a theme, cover a few cases, and pair them with craft beer.
Join me, Mike.
And me, JT.
As we explore the world of crime, conspiracies, or whatever catches our attention. You can find us on social media at BrewCrime or our website, brewcrime.com. And you can find us on any podcast app at BrewCrime Podcast.
Join us as we discuss the horrible crimes that surround us and maybe, definitely tip a bottle or two back as you do it. Drink with us the second and last Tuesday of every month.
Hey, this is a true crime show, and I have a tendency to occasionally drop swear words. Because without colorful language, this world would be just too dark to continue on. And face it, we gotta liven shit up once in a while. Hey there, Rainbow Warriors, and welcome to Beyond the Rainbow, True Crimes of the LGBTQ+. I'm your crusader against hate host, CJ. You know, guys, my 18-year-old cat Callie has sure been spending a lot of time with me lately. I'm not sure if it's because I mostly just stay in my bedroom now, or if, like me, she's missing Nilla, my doggie. Callie is the last member of my forensic team. I had a shirt made when my other kitty Lily and Nilla were both still alive. But when I lost Nilla, I retired the shirt and I packed it away along with Nilla's harness and her puffy pink jacket. I put it all in my memorabilia stuff. Every night I put Callie away in her room where her litter box and feeding area are, and I shut her in. But that little butt is clawing the carpeting in her room at her door, trying to escape and come back into my room. And of course her room is the only room in the whole damn house with carpeting, and she's tearing it up. If you have an indoor cat or have ever had one, you probably know even if you scoop their boxes every day, they're still stinky. And that's why I don't want her in my room overnight. Plus, she is so loud when she goes to bury her poop. That noise, along with the smell, is what keeps her in her own room at night for sure. But she hangs with me just about all day long, every day. I've started looking to bring home another pup. I'm looking for a Maltese mix just like Nilla was. Either a puppy or a young one. So if you're in the Pacific Northwest and you know of any, or even around in the Denver area in July, because that's where I'm going to be for a few days, please let me know. I'm hoping it'll be another girl dog that will stay right around 5 to 6 pounds. Thanks, I appreciate it. I have an update on a missing but not forgotten LGBTQ man that I covered probably over 8 months ago. The missing man was from Southern California. His name is Beau Mann. He had went to a convenience store not too far from his home for a bag of ice and some snacks, and then he called an Uber to take him home. While he was in the Uber, on his way home presumably, he had texted 911 for help, but that was the last thing that ever came from his phone. He was not seen again that day, which was around 2 p.m. on November 30th, 2021 in Studio City, California. Unfortunately, Beau's body was recovered last May in a courtyard of an abandoned home in Santa Monica. It was about a mile from where the Uber allegedly dropped him off. According to the Charlie Project page on Beau, foul play is not suspected, which is surprising to me, honestly. He texted help from his phone to 911, and then he disappears, and then he's found dead on the premises of an abandoned home? Beau was a tech CEO, and he had developed an app called SoberGrid. SoberGrid was to help those with alcohol and drug addictions. At one time, Beau fought addictions of his own, and he wanted to help others. The only way I could see foul play not being a factor in this case is if Beau went with someone willingly to get high, and he overdosed on something. I'd love for his Uber driver to be tracked down for more information, but the only other information about this case is that investigators are still working on it. It might be a while before any more answers become public. Rest in power, Beau. The angry, chubby little man had made threats to them before. In fact, he had physically injured one of them by beating her with a stick, but this time was different. He wasn't there to scream ominous threats, and he wasn't there to simply bash anyone with a stick. His heart was cold and vengeful. He was there to end lives. September 3rd, 1965 saw the birth of little Lisa. She was born a Virgo to Cynthia Haler and Johnny Nall in Hialeah, Florida. Lisa grew up knowing that someday she wanted to work with children. After high school, she received her bachelor's degree from Florida Southern College in Lakeland. In the 1990s, she met a man named Vincent Fulleriat. The couple fell in love and they married. Not long after, they would have 2 children, a boy named Michael and a daughter named Amanda. After 24 years of marriage, the couple grew apart, as often happens with couples. 24 years is a damn good haul for a couple. But the fun, shiny newness the relationship once had, it started to deteriorate, and it became very lackluster. Vincent, who was an electronic security consultant, had a nasty temper when he was angered, and that did not help matters when the couple were having a rather bitter fight. Sometime during the marriage and the raising of their children, Lisa found a job as a 6th grade math teacher at Lake Gibson Middle School in Lakeland, Florida. It was during Lisa's career teaching at the middle school that she met assistant principal Samara Routenberg. Samara was born December 27, 1977 in Harvey, Illinois, making her a Capricorn and 12 years younger than Lisa. The 2 women began spending time together outside of work, and they developed a blossoming romance with each other. For Lisa, life was just so easy and comfortable with Samara. They had so much in common. In fact, Samara was a math teacher before accepting the assistant principal position. In 2014, Lisa and Vincent separated. With that separation, Lisa moved in with Samara at her home in Brandon, Florida. Vincent was already displeased that his marriage to Lisa was dissolving, and he became extra irate when he found out that she had taken a female lover and then had the gall to move in with her. After 24 years of marriage, how dare she disrespect him like this? Vincent made constant threats to Lisa, and they were affecting her ability to feel safe. She moved forward by filing for divorce. She wanted to close the chapter of her life with this hostile man who was not only obsessive, but possessive as well. And she wanted to live a happy life with Samara now that her children were adults. Stubbornly, Vincent refused to sign the divorce papers. He would not accept a formal divorce and move on with his life. The following year, in October of 2015, Vincent went to Samara's house. He entered through her garage door. Samara encountered him and demanded he leave her property. Vincent obliged and he left briefly, but he returned with a large stick in which he hit Samara several times in her face. He then knocked her to the ground and he bashed her head into the cement. Vincent left again. Samara was injured, and she called the police and they arrested Vincent for his violent actions. Samara pressed charges, which, who could blame her? He illegally invaded her sanctuary and then he confronted her and hurt her. At his trial for assaulting Samara, Vincent was sentenced to only 3 years of probation for aggravated battery and burglary. His sentence also included that he was to pay for Samara's medical bills of $6,000. He was not incarcerated for the attack. He just had to check in occasionally with a parole officer. He hit a woman with a stick in her own garage, and then he slammed her head into the concrete. But yet he was allowed to maintain a public presence. That doesn't seem quite right, does it? After his trial and hearing of the lenient sentence he received, Samara filed a restraining order against Vincent. 3 weeks after Vincent's attack on Samara, Lisa filed dissolution of marriage papers in Polk County. But this was a lengthy process that would carry on for another year and a half. During this time, both Lisa and Samara would each purchase a pistol, and they would go to a gun range multiple times. At the gun range, they would learn and practice gun safety and how to shoot. The guns were an attempt to have extra security to protect them against Vincent. Also, as an extra security measure, they had an alarm and cameras installed in the house as well. 2016 was moderately quiet for the lesbian couple, but while they were beginning to feel safe and assured Vincent wouldn't be a problem for them anymore, Vincent spent that entire year stewing, fervent with rage that his wife would choose a woman over him. The idea of this taboo relationship consumed Vincent's whole being and his thoughts. He began plotting for his next attack. February 24, 2017. Wearing a bulletproof vest and armed with a shotgun, Vincent's presence was caught on surveillance camera at Samara's home around 6:30 a.m. He could be seen leaving his car and entering towards their back porch. Once he was on the porch, he broke a sliding glass door to gain entrance into the home. The angry, chubby little man had made threats to them before. In fact, he had physically injured one of them by beating her with a stick. But this time was different. He wasn't there to scream ominous threats, and he wasn't there to simply bash anyone with a stick. His heart was cold and vengeful. He was there to end lives. Knowing Vincent had breached their home again when the alarm went off, both Lisa and Samara grabbed their pistols, and they were ready for their attacker this time. Shots were fired in the home back and forth between the three adults. Lisa and Samara were able to injure Vincent by hitting him with their bullets several times, but thanks to his bulletproof vest, none of the shots that struck him were fatal. Vincent also fired his shotgun at the women. His shots were deadly as he killed both Lisa and Samara in their home. All was quiet and peaceful once the gunfire ceased. This gave 53-year-old Vincent time to write a suicide note, and then he turned the shotgun on himself and ended his life too. The following day, Vincent and Lisa were due in family court to go over their divorce proceedings. When neither showed up, Lisa's attorney called police, and the attorney asked them to do a welfare check on Lisa. When police arrived for the welfare check, they discovered the broken sliding door and 3 bodies inside Samara's home: Lisa's, Samara's, and Vincent's. The school Lisa and Samara worked at felt the loss of their beloved teacher and assistant principal very deeply, as I'm sure did the adult children of the Fulleriats. Rest in power, Lisa and Samara. Our True Crime Quickie comes to us from the Arizona-California border in Yuma, Arizona. If this destination sounds familiar, I actually covered a case of a missing woman from there who is thought to have been murdered by her girlfriend. Diana Gonzalez went missing from the Winter Haven, California, Yuma, Arizona area. Her girlfriend was named Danny. The episode was short, about 10 minutes long, I think. That was the first one anyway, and I think I did an update afterwards. It was done back in October of 2020. Sadly, I've not seen any new updates on this case since, but just being back in this area of Yuma, Arizona, Winter Haven, it made me think of Diana. This Yuma case started March of 2021. The victim, 31-year-old Derek Runnion, had to die because he was gay as fuck. This was according to one of his killers, 22-year-old Janisa Jones. Wednesday, March 24, 2021, Derek left his home around 10:30 p.m. From what his dad has said, he was supposed to meet someone who was going to fix his car at one of the Yuma, Arizona Walmarts. And that was the last time Derek was seen alive. By Friday, Derek had not returned back home. His father, mother, and sister reported him missing to the police. Derek was a proud gay man. He came out to his mom when he was just 14 years old. His mom already had a feeling her son was gay because every Halloween, he loved dressing in girls' clothing. Derek seemed to have a strong relationship with all of his family members. When his sister would call him, he'd answer the phone with either, "Hello, beautiful," or "What's up, buttercup?" Even with his dad, he had a close relationship. Derek had met a bisexual man named Eric Chavez on a dating app, and the two started to see each other. Problem was, 28-year-old Eric had a long list of crimes he had once been convicted of, and he was currently on probation. Oh, there was one more huge problem. Eric was in a relationship with 22-year-old Jonisa Jones. Jonisa knew Eric was bisexual, but she didn't seem to have a problem with it as long as Eric didn't cheat on her. And then Jonisa found out about Derek, and she learned that her boyfriend Eric was cheating on her. And that's when she got it into her head that Derek needed to die, so she enlisted her boyfriend Eric's help. Jonisa and Eric plotted. They schemed, and they finally came up with a plan to murder poor Derek. And because these two were so intelligent, they did their conniving all on Facebook Messenger, which later, of course, would become more solid evidence against them. The plan was, it was Eric's job to lure Derek into the pretense that he was going to fix Derek's car. Eric told Derek to meet him at Walmart. Then Eric and Jonisa would abduct Derek by telling him that they were going to go somewhere and do drugs together for a really good time. Derek would drive his car, and Eric would ride with him, and Jonisa would follow in another car. They would lead Derek to a remote area across the state line. Once at the remote area, Eric would shoot Derek, but if their victim screamed, Jonisa would have to step in and stab him. Then they would put Derek back in his car and roll it into an irrigation ditch and light Derek's car on fire, burning all the evidence. That March 24, 2021, Jonisa and Eric's plan fell into motion without a hitch, except for one minor detail, and that was after the execution of Derek, how were they not going to get caught? A little over a week later, Yuma police got a tip that led them to California. Winter Haven, California. In an irrigation ditch in Winter Haven, Derek's remains were found inside his car that had been lit afire. Another screw-up the couple made was that the fire did not destroy most of Derek's body. An autopsy was able to determine that he'd been shot in his back and stabbed in his neck and head multiple times. Pretty soon, more tips of possible suspects were called in to the Yuma police. The names that kept being said over and over again were Eric Chavez and Jonisa Jones. Now it was time for law enforcement to try and track down their potential suspects. But truthfully, this was not going to be an easy task. Both Eric and Jonisa were wanted by various law agencies, including federal. Eric for violating his prior parole for other criminal activities, and Jonisa for crimes involving drugs. U.S. Marshals were finally able to secure Jonisa's whereabouts, and they arrested her. They brought her back to Yuma, Arizona. Jonisa could only bond out with a little over $500,000 cash, or she was going to be held until her trial was over and sentencing made if she were found guilty. I'm not sure what she opted for, but I'll bet she couldn't come up with $500,000 in cash. As for Eric, he was hiding in plain sight, and he was hunted down at a shopping mall. Once he saw that law enforcement had spotted him, he ran, and he was chased down, tackled, and then arrested. Eric was denied bail altogether because the judge found him to be a danger to society and a flight risk. Jonisa and Eric had separate trials, but both were found guilty. Jonisa of first-degree murder and Eric of second-degree murder. And all I can say to that is Eric must have had a much better attorney, because with all the planning and premeditation, his too should have been first-degree murder. Jonisa ended up taking a plea deal, which removed 6 other felony charges she had against her. Some of these were for kidnapping, hindering prosecution, and others were felony drug charges. Both Eric and Jonisa were sentenced to life with a minimum of 25 years of time until they can apply for parole. And to be honest with you, warriors, I hope neither of these two scumbags see past their prison walls ever again. Rest in power, Derek. I would just like to remind everyone, coming up July 12th through the 14th in Denver, Colorado, will be the True Crime Paranormal Festival. I had so much fun last year at the one in Austin. I decided I had to go again this year. It looks like even more shows will be there than last time. And at least 6 Darkcast Network shows will have tables too. Those are Autumn's Oddities, Weird True Crime, Murder and Mimosas, Missing Magnolias, True Crime Connections, and me. Hopefully more will join too. I'll leave a link as to where you can get your tickets in my show notes. I love you, Rainbow Warriors. And most importantly, you matter. Remember, it's not a crime to live your truth, unless you're a murderer.